Hi, guys, and welcome back to Buy New Hampshire Now. I am Carla Gericke with Porcupine Real Estate, and I am so excited to welcome back my colleague and friend, Dominic. How are you?
I'm doing great today. Another beautiful day in New Hampshire.
It certainly is, and we actually had such a great little adventure on Monday when we went to look at this incredible property in Canterbury, which is not at all the gist of today's episode. Today, we are going to be talking about pricing, what's important when you do your offer, how do you figure out what the price is, all these exciting things. But I do want to say about that beautiful property, I never knew this, so I'm just going to tell the entire world. They had some yaks up there, right? As in the animal, the
Yep.
yak animal. And I did not know this, but apparently yak poop does not stink. Who knew? So if you're thinking about buying a property in New Hampshire and you don't want anything to be stinky, maybe we could hook you up with some yaks too. But on a more serious note, today, we put together this series. It's fairly new. Last week we talked a little bit about, list versus sales price, escalation clauses, appraisal gaps, all kinds of fancy things. So people can find that on YouTube at Porcupine Real Estate, and they can find a ton of content, including a lot of really cool stuff that you talk about, that you're teaching people about in homesteading, in the market in New Hampshire. So here we are in spring. Tell me a little bit about what the landscape looks like, and then we'll dive in.
So yeah, as you mentioned, it is spring 2024 as we speak right now, and the market is heating up. We're seeing multiple offers again, pretty much everything going for over listing price. And that's kind of what we want to talk today. Like, what should you be keeping in mind when you're making those offers over asking price? So realistically, what it comes down to is when let's say a seller gets 6 offers on their property. The agent is going to show them all of those offers, generally present them all at once, depending on how they're reviewing offers. If they're getting them all at once, then they can review them all at once versus looking at them as they come in. The hierarchy of, like, from my experience, what people look over when they look at an offer is price first, and then it kind of goes to a bunch of different things after that. But price tends to be the thing that sticks out the most to people. So that's kind of where you want to focus in on when you start considering putting in an offer.
And
So let's say,
sorry, I was just going to say that makes perfect sense because, of course, the price is that big thing, right? That you can just kind of look at before you get into the minutia of what's what.
very
So,
much.
sorry to interrupt you. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah. So no, let's say we're going to use that average price of $400,000. That's what the list price is on the house. So without knowing anything else about this hypothetical property, um, you're going to look at how comfortable you are going over that price if you need to go over that price. So every situation is going to be different. If it's a situation where you know that there's already multiple offers in on a property, you may want to re-look at your strategy when you're going in for an offer. The odds of going in with 6 other offers on the table at asking price and getting that house accepted, unless you're coming in with a big pile of cash, you're probably not going to have a chance. So the way to start would be to look at comps on the houses, see what is reasonable to expect out of the value of that house. And that's
And
something that
is that as simple, sorry, as like literally going to like a Zillow? Like you say, do comps. What does that
yeah.
mean?
Well, okay, yeah. So Zillow, that's a great thing to bring up, is Zillow, because a lot of people see the prices on houses on Zillow and they think that's exactly what their house is worth. Well, Zillow is a useful tool. I always use it as more of like a benchmark,
Mhm.
or an average, or just a guesstimate of what a house should be worth. But as professionals, as people who do this day in and day out, we can take a look at other factors. So the specific area that the house is in definitely plays a factor. How hot that market is. Zillow actually does tend to have a pretty good handle on that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But the nuances, like, is there a 2 bay garage versus no garage? Is there a swimming pool? Is there a fenced in yard? Is there a good school district nearby? Is there, there's lots of factors that kind of go into that.
Hospital, yeah, trails, different people, of course, have different things that are their sort of press points.
Right. Exactly. So those are all things that we kind of take into consideration when we're looking at comps. So it's not as easy as just saying, oh, it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom in Newmarket or something like that. There's a lot of different things that might play into that. So that's something you want to keep in mind, is what the appraised value will be when you go for a loan. With that said, the other part that we want to talk about is appraisal. So that
Mhm.
appraisal comes in, let's say we put in an offer at 450 on this theoretical house. Asking price was 400. The value probably actually lies somewhere between those two numbers, depending on the condition of the house and everything else. So if you put in an offer of 450 and the the appraised value comes back at 415, let's say the lender is only going to lend to you based off of that appraised value. So that
So
gap,
the 415.
which is 415. So that gap between 415 and 450, that money needs to come from somewhere. So that's
Mm.
going to have to come out of your pocket at the closing table. I've seen many offers fall out because of appraisal gaps. So that's one of the reasons they say it's better to come to the table with as much money as possible if you're planning on trying to go, a little aggressive with the offer.
Yes, being rich and having money is better.
And so, like, a good lender too will give you options. So if a situation does arrive like that, and you are planning on putting 10 or 20% down towards the cost of a house, you might be able to skew that percentage. So if it was an 80% loan to value situation, you might be able to skew it back to an 85% or a 90% loan to value. Sure, your interest rate might go up a little bit, or different factors might play into that, but there's generally options of ways to save that. So to me, if when I'm talking to people who are considering taking out a mortgage or anything along those lines, it's try to go worst case scenario. How much money do you have to start with? And then you can always scale back if you need to, if there's an appraisal or something like that.
Great. That's fascinating. It is always interesting to see when the market's hot, what are the little tricks that people can do where we add, of course, real value to our customers and to our clients to really make sure that they are, in the end, getting the best deal in the market as we're seeing it, which, here in New Hampshire, candidly, everyone wants to move here because it is awesome. And we, of course, want everyone to own a little piece of New Hampshire. So we want to figure it out. Is there anything else you think folks should know?
Oh, there's tons of things people should know. So I would encourage everybody to come back to this series as we produce more videos on it. As far as pricing goes, again, we will go over your specific case with you, and it could vary. I have specific buyers who have put in offers on several houses that maybe they just aren't in the right category or whatever it might be. So we've done multiple offers. Every single offer on those different houses is completely different strategies, just based on what the situation is. So you can say, oh yeah, I'm going to be super aggressive, I don't care if I have to pay that gap. That might not win you the house. I mean, there could
Mm.
just be somebody else who's got a better deal than you. But the important part is that we can look at those situations and change our strategy based on what your situation is.
Absolutely. And in the end, we love individualism, and we're talking about tailoring something to someone's specific needs so that hopefully they get what they want. How can folks get a hold of you?
You can reach out to us at our email addresses. So I'm Dominic at porcupinerealestate.com.
And I'm Carla at porcupinerealestate.com, and we will see all of you back here soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.